Welcome to the Bullcast Podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, and with me today is Court Winsett.
I'm Court Winsett.
And Cameron Spann. Well, I mean, you're kind of teasing. We're talking about traveling. I want Court to talk about what he sent me the other day about this real diagnosis.
So there was an ad that was for some sort of travel app that Sarah Michelle Gellar did that I forwarded you. She said, do you suffer from travitude? And that's when you are feeling sassy and angry because you haven't traveled lately. And then there was also trypophobia, which is
not having anything on the books.
Not having anything on the books scheduled to travel.
It does make you happier. At least I think it's a consensus around here. If you've got something planned, then it's something to look forward to. It's exciting.
I specifically sent that to you because I know you like to travel.
Yeah, I have not traveled with the exception of like Coleman, Alabama, which, sorry, no shade to Coleman, Alabama. But I have not really traveled since November 2024. It's been too long. I'm feeling the need to travel. And so this episode, we're going to talk about insure before you tour. Talking about health insurance, maybe travel insurance, things like that with traveling, because this episode is coming to you the Thursday before Memorial Day, which really that kind of kickstarts. I mean, it's kind of all jumbled up, but for the most part, all schools are out by this point. Then that's really starting the kickoff of summer.
Yep. That's pool season starts Memorial Day.
Yep. So then you've got the travel, pool season. So we're going to start with a list of the top 10 trending summer destinations for Americans.
Americans indeed.
Okay, so our first place we're going is Cancun, Mexico.
I have been there. I went on it was a stop on a cruise.
Same.
Yeah, that's the same with me.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with it. The next one on the list is, Court can't pronounce it. It's Oranjestad, Aruba. Aruba, Jamaica.
Ooh, okay.
Anyway.
Oranjestad. I've never heard of that, but it's like number 2 on the list.
It may also be Oranjestad.
So Aruba.
Oranjestad. I mean, who knows?
Yep.
Next on the list would be London. London, United Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a typical American attitude, but I do like going to countries where I know that the people there speak the same language I do.
Yeah. Okay, Rome, Italy.
That is a bucket list place for me and
Me
my
too.
wife.
And they do speak English in Italy. Not natively. Okay, I got to go back here. We went, and it is a very
They're open
US
to
friendly.
working. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, most people, except for the very old Italians, can speak English. I'll say that.
The next on the list is Punta Cana, which is in the Dominican Republic, or Punta Cana.
It's Punta Cana. What about San Juan, Puerto Rico?
What about Athens, Greece?
My daughter wants to go to Athens, Greece real bad.
Greece has become really popular the past couple of years.
She really would like to visit Greece. Next on the list is Barcelona,
Thank you.
Spain.
I was hoping you would do that. Barcelona.
I have a friend that just got back from the Canary Islands over there. He said it was beautiful and gorgeous, and he didn't want to come home. So
I bet not.
Fancy. What about Tokyo, Japan?
I want to check it out. I'd love to check out Japan and China, all of the Eastern nations. Tokyo specifically, I'm afraid that I might have sensory overload.
That's what it looks like. It takes Times Square and it's like everywhere.
Multiplies it.
Yeah, like
by
it's
a
just
billion.
And there's so many people. Rounding out the list, Santiago, Dominican Republic.
Santiago.
I guarantee I will not be visiting any of these places this summer. What about you guys?
Not going anywhere this summer, for sure.
I'm going to Iowa.
There you go.
Sounds like fun, I guess. Why are you going to Iowa?
Abby's dad is from Iowa.
Oh,
and so every summer we do a family trip with her family, and this one is some big lake in Iowa. So
Well, you
never
can see
been.
the cornfields.
Well, I'll see plenty of corn. That's all I know.
Sounds good.
Ann in our office can tell you a lot about Iowa.
I'm sure she can.
You'll have to give us an episode about
I
Iowa.
will do a live cast from Iowa.
Okay. And we are coming to you before Memorial Day. Obviously, as you're planning your trips, you're planning your different things. Obviously, remember this important day as well. And to make sure you are honoring this day. And it's not just another day for everyone to be like, woo, the office is closed. Right?
Right. Sorry, you were looking at me like I'm.
Are you right? You agree?
Yeah.
You agree?
We agree.
agree?
Do you?
We agree.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so Cam, why don't you tell us about the places you'll go?
Yeah, so I would say 5 or 6 years ago, we started this campaign with our clients where we have these Pickler Wealth Advisors flags. They're about, I'd say, 2 feet long. We encourage our clients to travel. We want to celebrate their successes and their travels, and we encourage them to pick up a flag and take it with them wherever they travel, whether it is the Galapagos Islands or the gas station around the corner. Not that anybody's done that yet. So they take a photo of our flag with them holding it with the cool stuff in the background, wherever they are, and they submit it. And then by the end of the year, we have a drawing, and the best photo recipient gets $1,000 to their charity of choice. And we have had a lot of success with it, a lot of people submitting cool photos, and it's just a really cool way to celebrate our clients. Oh, the places you'll go.
It's fun, and it's a nod to obviously Dr. Seuss. I'm not going to say that David got this idea from me, but when I was working at JDRF, then we had the little Rufus teddy bear, which kind of represented that if when you became a type 1 diabetic, Rufus Bear also had type 1, and so had like spot, this is where you could test your blood sugar. And I remember giving him a little Rufus Bear to take on some of his trips. So then we posted a where all has Rufus been. So which, I mean, people have been doing that for a while. Where's Flat Stanley been? Like there's a lot of things like that. But we had
about Rufus. I remember when he took that to Europe.
Yeah. You probably were in charge of helping take pictures of it.
Yep.
Now, I am one of the worst people because I will either forget to bring a flag or I'll take the flag and forget to actually take the pictures.
The most fun result I ever received from that kind of thing was my son's school, my son's or my daughter's, I can't remember which school, was doing a Flat Stanley. And every kid brought home a Flat Stanley and they had to send it out to somebody to get them to get. And my son sent his to a cousin who was stationed in the Middle East.
Oh, wow.
And his base, they had the most fun, like having pictures of Flat Stanley like all over the place over there.
Oh,
But,
wow.
like, they made him like camo uniform
that's
that
so
they put
cool.
on him and had him like sitting in tanks. They really had a blast with it. It was fun.
I had a Flat Stanley of me that was supposed to go on the Mardi Gras floats this year since I didn't make it this year. But due to shipping issues, it arrived after Mardi Gras. Kind of my like adopted Cajun family down there. They have taken me a couple places and sent me pictures of where all I've traveled in New Orleans. It's kind of funny. So back to traveling. Before most of your trips, most people make a list of essentials to plan. You know, what's the first thing? You kind of book your flights and your hotel. That's usually typically the biggest thing is finding flights is hard. Finding out where you're going. And then you start looking at attractions, eateries, foreign languages, like where's the restroom? I guess that's understanding foreign languages. I don't know that I've ever prepped a trip and mapped out where all the bathrooms were, but some people might do that. You know, and it depends on where you're going, if you have to book ahead for stuff or not, but like those are all the different details. But what about, you know, health insurance? Because obviously when you book your flights, a lot of times it'll pop up with trip insurance about, you know, if there's something that happens and you need to cancel. But health insurance.
Yeah, that's not something that I've ever thought about. The only time I've been out of the country thrice, maybe whatever the next number up from thrice is, 4 times ice. But mostly it's been on cruise ships. And of course, cruise ships, they've got their own medical
You've got
staff.
Dr. Odyssey.
Yeah, as is
Joshua
seen on Dr.
Jackson.
Odyssey.
Oh,
Boy,
gosh,
what
I
those
love-
doctors get up to on that cruise ship. Woo!
Excellent show.
I never had to worry about it there. I went to New Zealand. They have single pay insurance over there, so I didn't have to worry about it over there.
I mean, because you think about most of the time when you travel, you don't worry. Although I did go to Morocco May 2024, and I had some health stuff going on prior to leaving, and that was something I really determined before I left the country. I'm like, hey, am I okay? I don't know what the health care situation is in Morocco if I was to have an issue. But that was probably the first trip I've ever thought about that. And then obviously the reason why I haven't been traveling since November is because being pregnant, it was kind of one of those concerns of if I'm in these places, you know, I don't have my doctors, I don't have my people. So I've had a little bit more eye-opening to that because obviously, you know, somewhere like a Disney World or something like that, you would think they'd have, you know, a magical medical place. But there are some places you travel to that you may not know what the health situation is.
Cameron can attest to the fact that the medical place that we went to when we were last in Disney was not particularly magical.
Was it a Disney place, though, or was it off-site?
It was off-site. It was real sketchy.
Do they even have like an on-site site that we could have gone to? I mean,
I think they have like emergency little thing.
Have y'all ever been to the doctor's office in the bottom of a cruise ship?
No.
Never.
I have. It's wild. When I was younger. Tonsillitis.
Oh, on a cruise ship.
Oh.
It was terrible. So it goes once, twice, thrice, quadrice.
Quadrice.
Okay.
Okay. Learn something new every day.
Archaic term, yeah.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome.
So you've done all this planning, you've booked your flights, you've booked your hotel, and a lot of times, what usually derails your trip? It's somebody gets sick and you can't go, but what if you get over there? You've planned everything and now you're sick. But what about travel health insurance? So travel health insurance offers protection while you're away from home, covering things like hospital stays, emergency medical care, medical transportation. And, it varies depending on the provider and the plan, but it's also trying to help you find reasonably cost situations to cover different scenarios. Because obviously what's going to happen is it's like me when I'm low on fuel and I just got to find the first gas station I can find. So when you are traveling, you got to find that 24-hour clinic. You've got to find whatever you can find because you have just booked this trip. Your family's waiting or whoever you're with. You got to get meds now. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to have time to be like, oh, who's the best person to get in? And so you're going to be getting in with the doc in the box, which they're going to get you in, they're going to get you taken care of, and then there's going to be a fat bill.
I know about that. In Florida, that was a very fat bill.
Obviously, it may not even be if you're going abroad versus if you're going in the state.
Yeah.
Because if you have healthcare coverage provided by your employer, it's probably going to be different if it's quote unquote out of network, and your network may very well be limited to people that are in your hometown.
Yeah.
So if you go out of network, you could end up paying a lot more. But then other countries, like I said, some countries have universal health. So if you go to a hospital, you just go to the hospital and they fix you and then you don't get a bill. And then other countries don't. Going to a hospital, like you said, or a doc in the box or whatever could end up costing you an arm and a leg. Hopefully not literally.
So do you really need it? So check with your regular health insurance provider to determine whether your policy provides coverage for medical expenses incurred while abroad or, out of state. If it covers you and you feel the coverage is sufficient, you may not need to look any further. Medicare isn't accepted abroad. Some premium credit cards offer travel insurance perks. Check the fine print, though.
Probably going to be an American Express, something like that.
The cost of medical care can be much higher in other countries, especially if you need emergency care. So if your regular policy doesn't cover that, look into additional coverage. Some countries actually require proof of health insurance before they allow entry, including Cuba, Antarctica, and the United Arab Emirates. Arab.
There we go.
United Arab Emirates. Yeah.
My brain is not working.
That was some Alabama shit right there.
United Arab.
That's all I've been to. I have not had any culture. I had to class it down from his thrice and all that crap.
Making fun of the way I talk, Katie?
Yeah.
Okay, so what types of travel-related health insurance are available? So you've got short-term travel health insurance. This would be best for a single trip, typically up to 6 months. Wow. That could be a good option if you'll be abroad for a short trip. So for instance, when you went to Morocco, you could have
gotten short-term.
Yeah. Long-term travel health insurance is obviously, if short-term is good for short trips, then I'm guessing the long-term is going to be good for long trips. Several months to a year. Often more comprehensive and cost-effective for long-term travelers. So if you
studying abroad,
if you study abroad or if you vacation for the summer in the south of France every year, then hey, I want to go too. But also, maybe that would be although I think France has universal health care too. But anyway, medical evaluation insurance would cover emergency transportation such as air ambulances. So important if you're traveling to a remote or an underdeveloped area. Like for instance, I've got a family member who spends a lot of time down in Honduras working on clean water filter systems for the people down in Honduras. And I'm betting that some sort of emergency evacuation would be necessary if he or any of his friends were to suddenly fall out from some sort of surprise illness.
Yep.
And so that kind of coverage would cover them there.
I mean, you think about I've never really thought about the health insurance aspect. You always think about your internet package on your phone in your cell coverage. You think to call your credit card companies and figure out which cards are covered and where you're going.
And then maybe the insurance to cancel if you have to. But I have never once thought about health.
No.
I wish I had my life together that much to think about that.
This is a surprising conversation for me to have too. It's never once occurred to me to even look into something like that. And I guess now as I'm getting older and I still want to go places, it makes more sense for me to be like, I'm constantly having health issues. But also, I remember back when we traveled with young kids, and it seemed like there were a lot of times, even staying in the country, where we would go somewhere and one of our kids would end up getting sick, or God forbid, we never had this happen, but if you had a kid that fell and broke a limb or something,
Yeah.
even just an ear infection one time in Florida cost us like $1,000 to get it treated because we were out of network and if there's a short-term insurance that we could have paid for that would have covered that, it might have been a nice thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's, what is insurance? It's you're paying for something, not knowing when or if you're going to need it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gamble. Like, you pay it and it's like never need it, or it could really save you.
Yeah.
So kind of weigh your options, obviously, when you're budgeting. But this is very eye-opening of something to think about when you're budgeting on those trips, especially something like, a big cruise that you plan for the whole family, or like just a big trip that you've put all this planning into, all the details, and it's like, what could go wrong? Grandma gets sick on day one.
I mean, it must be stressful for you to be a person who puts that much thought into their trips, because I'm just being honest. I don't think about any of that stuff.
Yeah, haven't we determined that I would lose it traveling with your family?
Yeah, easily. It would absolutely drive you crazy because, it's just like, okay, we're going to go here. Let's hop in the car.
I mean, even the beach, I drive my husband crazy because I'll be like, we would have just gotten out on the beach, gotten everything set up. And I'll be like, okay, so then what time are we going to do dinner? And he goes, we just got out here. And I was like, no. I need to know what time we're going to go to dinner so I can plan backwards of what time I need to get off the beach so I can shower, get ready. He's like, when we get off. And I'm like, no, I need a plan. Okay, so how should I choose a policy? Coverage. Look for a policy that provides comprehensive coverage for medical expenses, emergency care, and medical evacuation. Yeah, evacuation is something that
Again,
is not really
occurred to
on
me.
anybody's radar, but it's just, I've traveled, and it wasn't evacuation, but we were traveling to Monaco and all the taxi cabs were on strike. So that was a whole cluster walking into that, getting off the airplane, and then you're having to hike your luggage off the airport property to then get to another vehicle.
I will say that I've gotten really, really spoiled with Uber and just being able to walk out of an airport and pull up somebody on my phone and go yeah, come pick me up here. Can you imagine?
Well, see, with this, it was they had the taxi cabs had blocked everything. So no buses, no Ubers, nobody could get to you. They were striking. Unfortunately, Nashville's flooded since then. But back when Cam, you and I were in college, and Nashville flooded really bad. My mom was in Nashville for a PTA conference. And of course, that was an evacuation situation because they were saying, hey, all the cars that are at this bar, we got to move y'all. We've got to move everybody up to higher ground. So you've got those situations like that you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Remember when the three of us were in Orlando? That was kind of an evacuation.
Yeah, they did say that we were getting on those last flights trying to get out of there.
I think what they're thinking about here is a little bit more health reason.
Well, we're talking about us. We were talking about what we have been through.
If you were on the side of a mountain and you fell skiing down the mountain and broke your leg and they had to come airlift you off the mountain, that's the kind of thing that you're probably going to get a bill for unless your insurance covers it.
Well, Delta had to airlift us off of the ground in Orlando.
Yeah, they did.
Come on, Court.
Either are you feeling sick about that? I mean,
But no, it's kind of we kind of teased a little bit, but that Dr. Odyssey show where it's they're going out doing scuba diving situations, and if they've got to get picked up by another boat or somebody to try and help them out, all those shows have that where kids up to no good and they have to get airlifted out doing something stupid. Okay, cost. Travel health insurance can widely vary in prices, so shop around and compare rates from different providers.
my mama told me you better shop around.
So check to see if the insurance provider has a network of medical providers in the countries you'll be visiting. So obviously go to your healthcare provider first. Look for affordable policies, ones that have the coverage you need. And if it doesn't cover doctors in the destination, you got to look again. Limitations, read the fine print. Some policies may have a limitation on coverage for pre-existing conditions and adventure sports such as skydiving or certain types of medical care.
No. The answer was Ipswich clams.
I just think of Along Came Polly. He's an actuary and he's trying to,
I'm
the
very
risk
familiar
level.
with
But I mean, that's what some of the risk things that people do on travel. You don't even know how to swim well. Why are you scuba diving? And so look for an insurance provider with good customer service. A 24/7 helpline you can contact if you need assistance while traveling, especially if there's a time difference to consider. That's all great. Lots of planning, lots of things to think about. That gives me a headache.
Probably no, it doesn't. probably got you a little excited. You're like, it's something else I can plan. Wait until my next vacation. I'm going to be looking into insurance.
I would say that is something.
Especially with the twins. You're going to be like, oh, I have twins now. Gotta have some travel insurance.
I mean, if you're going to travel a lot, then I think that's something you may want to try and establish a consistent, like you've just got this policy structured for whenever you travel. But if you don't travel a ton, then you really got to look at the option of like, okay, we are going on a 2-week European trip. Griswolds.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you got everything covered. But it is another thing to consider because, again, you've spent all this money and you would hate for it to be ruined on day one when somebody gets sick or something happens to somebody. And now the whole trip is spent in this hospital room.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm probably not going anywhere anytime soon anyways. I'm good. I'll just stay here and hopefully not get sick.
Next up for me is Italy 2025. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's this summer.
This fall.
Fallish.
Fall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's September, so
Yeah.
depending on when in September, could still be technically summer.
Yes, I mean, that's definitely something that, thinking about the Italy trip and people going and, are they protected? Should something happen?
Yeah. EF, who we used for these tours, they're really good about their insurance covering. If you're injured there, if there's cancellation, if all this stuff.
Yeah, they
covered.
take care of a lot of the stuff
they do.
for you.
So that's another reason to go with like a travel company like EF that can really kind of help you with that, which obviously we've talked about before. We've used that company a lot.
I forgot we had a show where we interviewed one of the tour directors.
Yes, we interviewed our tour director. Yeah.
That was
Chaotic.
that was actually while y'all were on a tour.
Yes.
Sheridan, Wyoming.
Well, you want to wrap this up? You want to give it a bullseye? You want to zing it? You want to boring?
Once insured, carry your insurance card or copy your policy at all times during your trip. If you need medical help abroad, contact the U.S. Embassy for recommendations on local doctors and hospitals. You see that in movies all the time, but I've always just wondered that of when you're on a trip, like, do you ever look up where the U.S. Embassy is? I've never done that.
Again, I haven't been out of the country that many times. Usually it's been on a cruise ship, once to New Zealand, once to England, but it's never occurred to me to check out where the embassy was. And I'm being dead serious here now because I've always wanted to go see some places like Russia and China that I don't feel particularly, necessarily safe going there. So it'd be nice, like if I ever did get to go somewhere like that, I would probably like know where the embassy
know where it was. just in case, just in case there's a situation that we have to act and be like, where's the embassy?
Yeah.
I need to get there now.
Oh, there's the closing bell. You've made it to the end of yet another episode of the Bullcast podcast. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and sign up to have our podcast beamed directly to your device every single Thursday at noon. If you'd like to find out more about Cortland, Katie, Cameron, or Nicole, please feel free to go to our website. That website is bullcastpodcast.com. We've got pictures up there. We've got bios. We've got a place where you can drop a comment or suggest a topic you'd like to hear us talk more about. But hey, I mentioned pictures. We do have pictures on Instagram, and our Instagram handle is @BullcastPodcast. We also have an X handle, which is @BullcastPodcast, and rounding out the social media, we have a Facebook page, which is Bullcast the Podcast. Finally, I know for certain that Cameron explicitly mentioned the fact that we work at a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors, and if you would like to find out more about what we do, find out about what we can do for you, find out about our amazing team, and find out about our boss, David Pickler, please feel free to go to that website. That website is picklerwealthadvisors.com.
That's advisors with an O.
Not an E, ladies and gentlemen. So I think we've given you everything you need to know to go forth and travel safely and healthily. So for now, I'm Court.
I'm Katie.
I'm Cam.
And we're done.